Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Cutting Through the Bullshit. I am your host, Dr. Stephanie Snyder, and I am a high performance mentor. Through my unique blend of strategy, mindset, and intuition, I help men and women to cut through the BS in order to create the life and business they desire. So, I'm going to give a little bit of backstory leading up into this one. So, my initial podcast was The Overjoyed Mom, and that was very easy. Very easy. The branding on it was amazing. I loved all of it, right? And I always knew that there was like a bigger calling for me. There was always something bigger out there that I could never seem to put my finger on. And Overjoyed Mom was great. I love it. I still use the Facebook group. I had shied away from it for a little bit because I was going through some growth on my own. And then something really interesting happened this past weekend. So I was having a conversation with a girlfriend the other day, and she had reached out to me for some support. She said, I just don't feel like myself. Like what seems to be happening? Like what? And she started to give me some more information, and I started to kind of coach her through it. And what I realized was I should probably take some of my own advice on this one. And so what I did on Friday night, it was cold here. I sat by the fireplace with a glass of champagne, and I admitted to myself that I was not joyful. And it was kind of painful because I had kept trying to find the joy, like recreate it and like be passionate about the thing. And like, it always felt like I was trying to perform. And I would get hits of it, like downloads and all these other things, like in the God Zone when I was running and stuff. And so I knew it was there. I just couldn't seem to like connect it, right? It's like when you're trying to plug in a plug and you can't see the outlet, and it's like you can't get it in. Like, it's there, but you're like, I just can't seem to connect to the thing. And that's kind of like what it felt like. And so I was sitting there journaling through this and admitting to myself that I wasn't feeling the joy. I just wasn't feeling it. And I found myself crying, like grieving over it. And what I had realized was that in 2020, when most of us went into survival mode, I also went into survival mode. And just trying to keep everybody safe. And it wasn't that I had lost my joy. I had just kind of disconnected from it temporarily. I kind of put it on the shelf to like hold a space. Like, I need you to just hang out there while I figure all these things out. And I got tired of it. And I kept trying to like bring it back to me, but it wouldn't come back until I actually admitted to myself that I wasn't joyful. And it seems kind of silly that you would like have to admit to yourself, because of course I wasn't. Like, it was very obvious. But actually admitting it to myself allowed me to actually let it go and to reconnect to it, right? It was like I'm trying to come up with like a good analogy of what this would look like, right? It would be like, what's the vision I'm getting? It would be like admitting that you were wrong to see another perspective, right? Or being okay with being wrong. And so many of us are not okay with being wrong, right? We're like, no, it's this way. It's only this way. Like, this is the way it has to work, right? And we end up getting lost in circles, right? Because you're like, no, I swear it's this path, right? You're walking through the woods, journey of life. You're walking through the woods. And you're like, I swear to God, it's this path. But you keep coming back to this path, and you're like, I don't understand why this path keeps taking me the same way. But you haven't taken a step in another direction. You can't see the other path because you're just focused on it, this one. And so I actually had to say, you know what? I I feel like I lost my joy. I feel like it was gone. For it to actually come back. And I'll tell you what, it was like a weight lifted off of me to just admit to it. Be like, oh, huh, that's interesting. And I have noticed it just in the last couple of days. This is now Tuesday from at the time of recording. And so that was on Friday. And the happiness and the joy don't feel forced anymore. They're like the natural state again. And it's so beautiful because it reminds me of how my story first began. Years ago, back in like 2013, I found myself depressed. I was just depressed. I didn't know how to get out of it. It was mom of two. My husband was constantly gone for the military. We had just come back from Sicily. I really had no friends here locally yet. Didn't have a community. And I just felt lost. And I avoided for months, I avoided to admitting the fact that I was unhappy because I thought it was going to make me feel, I thought my husband was going to see it as me being ungrateful for the life that we had. And I didn't want to do that to him. But what I realized was I was just continuously lying to myself. And so when I did finally get the courage to admit to myself, I didn't even have that conversation with my husband, but I admitted to myself that I was not happy. But just that admission allowed me to release it and to start to find the happiness and the joy again. And it's so interesting how that happens, where we just admit to it that we're like, you know what? No, I don't like chocolate. I don't like coffee. Instead of like forcing ourselves, there it is. There's my example for you, okay? So it's like not loving coffee, but being like, well, if I add some sugar to it and some creamer and all these other things, like maybe I'll then like the coffee. And we keep adding things to the thing that we already don't like. And it's like, you'll just admit that you don't like coffee. All right, I don't like coffee. And then they'll bring you something else to drink. This is a funny side story. I was actually I had a business meeting at a restaurant the other day, a little diner for breakfast. And I was drinking hot water with honey and lemon. I don't do tea typically. And I was not going to trust their bone broth. So I just had hot water with, I don't even think they had bone broth, if we're being honest about this. And so I just had hot water with lemon and honey in it. And I was almost done with the cup and I had just kind of moved it to the edge of the table and the waitress came through and she immediately filled up my cup with coffee. I thought, I ain't drinking that now. Not a chance, right? Not a chance. And so it's okay to admit that something's not going well because then it kind of loses its hold on you, its grasp on you, can actually move forward from it. So it's okay. Be like, you know what? I don't like this thing. All right, cool. That's fine. What are we going to do now from here? Because now that we know that you don't like the thing, it's fine, right? It's like your children being like, well, I don't like peas. Or telling you that they like peas, but then they just push them around the table. You're like, you told me you liked peas. Well, I just didn't want to hurt your feelings. What? No, just tell me you don't like peas. I'll stop putting peas in the dinner. It'll be fine. There you go. You got a bunch of little nuggets from me today. So I'm going to sign off here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you have the courage to actually admit to yourself that you don't like something, right? Now we've gone down another rabbit trail, right? Like we've just tapped in. Okay, so this is like in your business, someone told you that this strategy would work. And you're like, okay, I'm going to do this strategy because Sally said it works. And this strategy works for Sally, so I'm going to use this strategy. This is going to be my strategy, right? And you use the strategy, and you use the strategy, and you use the strategy. And you don't feel like you're getting anywhere with the strategy. And you waste 2 years on said strategy. And you're like, well, it worked for Sally. I don't know why it's not working for me. There must be something wrong with me. No. You haven't actually looked at the strategy and decided whether or not you like it. This was my whole thing. When I first started in my business, I remember I was in an MLM, I can speak, right? And the strategy at the time was you would just cold message people, cold message people, right? You had the stats were 1 out of every 10 person will say yes to you. So I was like, all right, cool. If I cold message 100 people, then 10 people will say yes to me. Boom, done, right? I hated that strategy. With every fiber in my being, I hated that strategy. But someone told me it would work, and so that's what I did. Until I was given permission to not do that strategy. And then all of a sudden, my own business took off because, oh my gosh, I wasn't doing a strategy that I hated. So check in with yourself. Be honest with yourself, because in the end, you're only hurting yourself. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. They're not living your life. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode. You're welcome for that little bit at the end. If you have questions about working with me, I am currently offering clarity sessions. These are single one-off 90-minute sessions where we get super clear. We pull away all the crap that you're doing that isn't necessary, and we get really clear so that you can reclaim your life and your joy and your freedom and all of the things. Single sessions. I have a couple available this week. I will have a couple available next week because I really love these sessions. These are powerful sessions. You will come away feeling calmer, peacer, more peaceful, satisfied. Like there's going to be a shift that happens in this call. So if you have questions about that, please reach out to me. I do have a couple this week and next week as well. So I would love to have that conversation with you. I'll go deep. We'll get clear. It'll be amazing. There will be a shift for sure. So I'm sending you a lot of love. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And as always, be you, because the world needs more of you. Bye.